So if you get a chance to see, it's posted on the website, because if the video is posted, then we know what to get.
Recording, and there should be a streaming though.
I think Sue would have told us. We can get it forward.
Just do my last minute notes this afternoon. I didn't know, when I read it, I'm like, who's,
Yeah, the camera,
I didn't know.
Oh, I just shot a quick thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
camera should be on.
there, but
Weird.
it's kind
I
of like
might leave.
an email. You do something, you just did it. It's like-
Very crispy.
I know.
It's Hal from 2000. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, but-
The door, Hal.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to let somebody in.
Sorry.
I mean, we sent that email.
They're on hold.
Oh, really?
It's just a.
Sue McKinnon, that's good.
Kind of get the idea.
So.
The meeting is running and it is live.
Just looking.
I'm just wondering if it's streaming
Oh, I was gonna pull it up.
because
There
there should be,
know the link.
Yeah.
there should be a stream.
Let me see if I can find it.
It'd be on the town.
Yeah.
It didn't have a thing on here that said start streaming. There wasn't a start streaming button, which means that it was set up a little differently than it normally is.
Never been able to figure out how to stream.
Can you guys see it? Or
I used it one time on my phone, but
just,
mostly listened, to it, so I wasn't actually
Yeah.
looking at the
I can never
picture because I was
actually figure out.
driving.
what's the guy? Bill Blaze downstairs.
Oh, look at
Like that.
that. They're in Christmassy clothes.
Yeah,
Glad it's.
more, we really, right there, next to end meeting. Admin.
So Chris is trying to get in. That's good.
Yep. I can see everything. Is maybe it just.
There should be a stream.
Everything.
You can see us.
Guy or whatever.
You can see it because you were
I know
accepting the
I
invite.
said something like after, like reference, meaning back.
Oh,
Should hit more.
Whatever.
Or
So, yeah, putting it together.
nothing's available for me. You resume.
So,
So you're gonna be here tonight?
more and stuff.
it's,
There you are?
that should be,
Yeah, and Chris says he can see it.
For Friday.
And we have
All
a
right.
note taker. just
it'll,
in case.
it'll record it. It's going to record it. It's not streaming. There's a chance it might not be streaming, but we should be fine.
All right.
And anybody who wants to join should be able to join.
There's a public streaming typically that they could just
Oh,
log in.
because you had the meeting invitation, so you accepted it from.
Yeah, I did. Oh, I was on there. I dropped, you found it online, right? The
Yeah.
streaming? Yeah.
Okay, but from the meeting
I
invitation.
did it from the invitation though.
Oh,
I think we should go ahead. We do have. a
Yeah,
note
I
taker.
think you should be fine.
Go ahead. Okay, so we will start this meeting at 7:06. We will just go around briefly with introductions.
Edberg?
Little Fields.
Christian Alaris.
Chris McDade.
Allison Watts, Chair.
Mark Casper?
Lauren Hill.
And Caitlin Thayer.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Caitlin.
All right, great. So we have an agenda, but we're gonna jump ahead a few because Gina is here. Instead of making her wait through everything, we're gonna ask her to talk a little bit about rain barrels. Yeah, if you could come up, in case it is recorded.
Thank you for letting me go first. As I said, I'm just getting back 20 minutes ago from the Adirondacks, so and Tom was kind enough to offer me to come to this committee to present an idea. I'm Gina Thomasette. I am the president of the Newfields Garden Club. I'm all about collaboration, and I had seen an opportunity from a company called the Great American Rain Barrel Program that's being offered in Exeter and Salem, which basically offers communities an opportunity to purchase rain barrels. What does this have to do with the Garden Club and maybe a potential collaboration with your committee? Is certainly we can be an avenue, an arm of education. And I think being a gardener, being devastated as a scorched earth of last summer, it was just really important that we taught people about conserving water in a really positive way. And as a gardener, it's just essential because essentially all our plants just died. And to also have people committed to the drought restrictions, and we saw it everywhere. Nobody was like, I have to water, things are dying, I'm just going to water. And just to make them more aware of another avenue they had. And talking with Tom, I was saying that my husband even figured out, because he's who he is, like we got an electric motor basically that used a rain barrel that was able to be hooked up to a sprinkler and a hose where I watered my garden as I normally would, as opposed to the buckets of water that you're distributing. So there is an opportunity. So a little bit more information. This Great American Rain Barrel Program, and I'm going to leave this behind. I'm sorry, I just didn't make copies. I apologize. But it's basically they offer 60-gallon barrels. They're $89 a piece. I've paid $80 myself, so I didn't think that was so bad. People basically go online and order them. And the collaboration would be is that we could have people pick them up during the plant sale, which ties into our whole philosophy and our focus as far as community education. We're also looking for point of information to support this in educating people on the rain gardens, because again, that is something very unique and really fascinating. It is really an opportunity to teach people about conserving water. I mean, as basic as it silly sounds. So anyway, there is a website, and basically the town has to reach out to them. It can't be Gina to them saying, hey, we're interested. Some people felt that since Exeter was doing it, that we wouldn't need to do it. It was actually a Facebook book post that I picked up on, and I reached out to them. But so they have diverters, they have a whole lot of stuff. I thought that even the Garden Club could help with educating people. How do you put up a rain garden? You know, what is the cost going to be? So people understand, and, you know, it's as simple as going to Lowe's or Home Depot and just getting a small area to capture water from your roof in a certain area. I mean, we have like Niagara Falls in areas, so I'm getting 2 more because there was so much water last year. What they do is they will advertise and they'll get the word out on a lot of different ways, but they have a whole different program and help with education as well. So I just wanted to propose this. I can make copies, or if you want to make copies, but Tom really felt that this was a great way of collaborating with this committee and the Garden Club. And we are, being a new president, I'm very into educating and a lot of collaboration with all the organizations, because I'm not into creating the wheel over and over again. And we're all trying to get people. I'm about trying to get the community really engaged a lot more, especially around some of the climate stuff. So I can leave this if you want to pass it away on. If you need a copy, I think I might have one. I gave that to you, right? A copy of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So Tom, pass it. Yes.
I have a question, Gina. So what specifically are you looking to collaborate with the committee on?
Well, it would be, since it's a conservation kind of thing, that this would be the committee that we would talk to as far as collaborating in the effect of
Getting the word out.
getting the word out. Thank you. And just making it a community-wide, whether it's through Sue sending an email to everybody and just making it aware of. I mean, I can do my own with regard to the Garden Club and my little Facebook page, and now we have Instagram. We're hip now. But, you know, there's other avenues that need to be taken. They even recommend that you put a flyer in the mailboxes, which is like what the library does. They basically pay for a flyer to be put, and then through other mailings, the post office will send it out. It's just, I feel sometimes our community misses out on opportunities just because people are not aware. And I don't think that Facebook is a good vehicle. Now, and I'm not going on TikTok, I'm sorry, but gonna start dancing with a rain barrel.
Rain dance.
Hey, that might,
You know,
get some attention.
work. So that's really what this opportunity is. A really nice opportunity. Is it costly? Not everybody could afford $89, but not that the garden club has a lot of money, and I know that the town is like a no-go, no-go. So, it would be something that I thought was important, especially since we're going to try and do stuff with Bill on the rain gardens, and do an education component. So everybody knows, everybody was curious, and the people that he had designed them, one of our members designed them. But in the installation, people were very curious. There's great education there. Again, it fosters that whole thing, like, folks, we got to save water. We have a water tower. You have your well, but at a certain point, they're going to dry out. So,
You could connect like a soaker hose to it, couldn't you? Like to run it
Oh, yeah,
along a,
yeah.
so you could do it by gravity. My husband's all about a machine. So he found this motorized thing. I plug it in and hook on a hose, and it works like a regular hose. I wore it all my life.
That could tie into the rain garden idea you had for the parking lot over at the school too. Because if you had that idea of doing the rain gardens alongside that, if that could work.
did I say that?
You brought up that idea about, because you could potentially get a grant towards
Oh,
it.
yeah, the grant.
See, so could,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. Let's just think through like logistics, like what actually happens if we wanted to do this. So,
We might, I don't think we could probably reach out to them to get on board with it, so we could promote it as part of our plan. I don't know if everybody has participated in our plan. Yes. Get your tomatoes here. Don't let me hear you went to Home Depot or Lowe's. For the love of God. Terry has
Have excellent vegetables.
oh my God, the vegetables are amazing. But anyway, we thought it was, again, one year we did actually sell rain barrels. Somebody within the club, they made them. And I drove all the way down to Mass to pick up some that were about $80 because I couldn't find anybody. It's all about how they're constructed. These sound like they're very well constructed. But I was surprised there was only two places, either Salem or it was Exeter. So I just thought, even though our community is small, we do draw from a lot of places, and it was good community effort to increase awareness.
we're talking about May. We want to have sort of materials out in April. So it feels to me like this is something we would need to kind of start to have online. So we meet in March. Our April meeting would probably be too late. Yes, it's late April.
I mean, I can't contact them. The town has to contact them to
By
sign up.
town, would an official town commission like us, or
I'm trying to think, if you don't mind, they have that,
Send an email?
Down there.
way back to the end.
it's like a town clerk or.
Probably post it on the town site.
it's that she's saying that the town has to officially ask.
Ask them.
Yeah, and they have an email address. I can actually forward that because when I inquired, they said, oh, you can't do this. Your town has to request it.
We requested them.
Well, that's what she's asking, is it, can Allison request it as a representative as our commission, or do we have to get select board member?
I don't know whether it's the town clerk.
If you wouldn't mind, if you could send an email to the select board to just say, we'd like to post this on the town site, et cetera, or get the word out.
Well, we can't post it until we get their agreement to participate.
Do it, right. This company, you have to basically, I don't know if there's a fee for it. I was mentioning it to Tom, and I was like, this is like
We have to request,
the town, whether it's the town, clerk, somebody from the town has to request
a
the service.
collaboration, some kind of agreement with them.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have,
Okay.
I would suggest that maybe somebody could volunteer to contact them and say,
Yeah,
can we do this as a conservation commission, or does it have to be?
That's right.
yeah, I think I can even forward.
well, let's do that then. Let's just have someone from Conservation Commission
I can do it.
reach out,
Lori will,
and then,
barrel lady, she's the garden lady.
and then we'll,
Yeah, and then we'll see if it can be us or if we need to officially come. to the
Yes.
select board.
right.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, Tom, is I'll forward the email that I received from the people with the next steps.
Oh,
You know, how they would do it. So I apologize. Like I said, I would be more prepared if I didn't literally just jump out of.
No, no, it's fine.
Here.
And I really appreciate you doing this early.
So we're just trying to understand what has to happen to make this a program, because like we did the window dressers and there it was very clear what we had to do, and it was mostly publicity, which it sounds like mostly what you're asking for, but we have a first step here because we don't have the lead with that window dressers, Exeter taking the lead, we were just added on to their overall program.
Right.
And that worked out, but if Exeter won't do that with this program, then there must be something different about it.
So with Exeter, they're working with this organization as far as what they do is they deliver the grain barrels. In a general place, and not what I was thinking is like pick them up and we bring them to the plant sale. It helps us because we trust the
Yeah,
plant
no, it's
sale.
a great idea.
You know what I'm saying?
Little rain.
And they pick up, if they do it right in the parking lot, and we do it at a time that it doesn't interfere with the other committee stuff that's going on Memorial Day. We don't want that to interfere. That's the key thing. So, but I will definitely look through my email.
Okay.
You just need your thing. 'Cause I know they-
So generally speaking, just a little feel of the room here. Does anyone have is this something we want to pursue? Anyone have any concerns?
No concerns.
Concern? You have enough rain barrels.
It's a good idea.
I appreciate your time today. I know it's last minute, but I thank Tom for the offer. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yes.
And these are recycled 55-gallon drums, basically. And they've previously had food products in them. And the way that businesses work that transport these things, they'll have a $2,000 worth of product or something in the drum and treat that $100 drum as a one-time used item with about 8 pounds of high-density polyethylene going right in the dumpster 10 minutes after they receive it and pack it. So they might have 5 dumpsters full of these high-density polyethylene drums going right into,
There you go, when they could be watering your garden.
It's such a waste when you think about it. It's a great way of
Yeah, so it's
refurbishing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay, so Lori is going to follow up and get us a clear idea of what we need to do. Discussing.
The time if Gina sends an email to you, then.
Yeah, well-
Lori gets it.
just.
Okay, great. Treasurer's report?
So for the month ending January 31st, our conservation account now has $74,985.67. And the current use account has $21,578.48. So there was an increase of $237.12 in the conservation account and $68.26 in the current use account, and there were no expenditures against those accounts.
Discussion? Right, I move that we accept the treasurer's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So minutes, we have multiple minutes, and I think I sent them all out to you.
Well, one of them came today.
And one of them came today, and I have not even had a chance to look at it. So we
Yeah,
may have
it's
to
very
put that
long.
one-
That's the whole
Yeah,
transaction.
so that one we may have to put off until next month.
So there are two.
So there are two and they're short. Well, they're fairly short. One is super short. And Tom and I did have some conversation about the value of, so what I do is I go on YouTube, I hit transcribe, that downloads that whole thing full of ums and stuff that you all see. And then I have Chat GPT make a summary of that. There's a question of whether we need to include that entire transcript, given that I'm coming off the town website essentially. Is that useful, or should we start not including that for the minutes? And this will be less relevant, hopefully, when you're there. So what we're doing, what we were getting previously was a very long transcript. And what we need for sort of communication is a several page shorter summary. So the transcript is great, but we're not sure that that really is the minutes themselves. So this is kind of a short conversation because this is only for the ones that we already have. Should we put that entire transcript up, or should we just do the short one? the two that we have.
And if you look at the minutes from the select board, they're very brief.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that if we've got the recording
Could run it through AI.
to have something brief so that if somebody wants to get a feel for what happened, they can from the written document. But if they want to know exactly what happened, they can still go to the recording. I don't know how long the recordings are held, but
Long time. Well, I don't know. We don't know because it's a fairly new
system.
system, but I think legally they have to be held for usually 7 years or something like that. So they'll be held somewhere.
And the reality is that most people will probably not read them unless they're particularly searching for something.
Yeah, in which case they can go to YouTube.
Yeah.
The direct transcripts of meetings, the last couple were like 15,000, 16,000 words.
Yeah, and that's because they're straight, they're on terrible.
Look, so they're of no utility, I don't think. And there's
Well, they're searching.
grammatical things. and
Again,
all
then
that,
they
so.
just refer to video then if
Yeah.
they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can search, they can do the
Right.
transcript
I could
themselves.
just put a line on the bottom saying, no video is available at the town webpage here.
Again, you could boil it down through an AI system.
So we
And it's-
do. So there's an AI, that's what we're saying. Should we just put the short AI on?
Yeah.
And not the whole long sheet of
I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's, you know,
Space on the
it's-
town website.
if it's brief and it's more logical than, 17 pages of nonsense. Just have it the boiled down, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. You could do both also. You could upload the full text and have a summary. If you really wanted to be thorough.
So it's kind of only relevant to these two that we're talking about. My inclination is to put the short piece up, put the little line on the bottom saying there's a video available as well. Anyone objects to that, we can talk about it. Otherwise, that's just voted.
Right.
So there are those two sets of minutes. Did anyone have a chance to look at them? Did anyone notice anything odd about them? Those were slightly, there was one that was specific to bylaws and then one that was just bills, I think. Yeah. I did look at them. One of them is missing a time at the end, so it doesn't have the end date, the end time, and I could just look in the YouTube video and get that.
Nice through, but like Tom said, they're pretty unbearable to sit.
Did you see the short one? Because I put the short ones in first.
I didn't have the short one. No, so I only have long versions.
And you
The
guys?
short version was fine, other than the time for the adjournment wasn't in there, which is,
It's on the long version though, which time was 8:32.
I think it's in the other one.
Oh.
That didn't have.
Yeah, so like Lori, did you guys get the full document that had the long minute and the short piece on top?
Look at Hillary's.
Yeah.
Those are-
Sue,
No, the minutes that I
It
sent
just came.
out.
They were sent out with
Even have-
the-
when you said, well, there was January 5th, but I didn't get January 19th.
Oh, those just came today, but there were two.
Yes.
One was January 15th.
December 29.
January 5th,
Yeah,
I got that.
those are the two that she sent.
Okay.
Just,
What on my
I mean, we
other
can take a
email.
minute to look at them now, or if people think they're okay, we'll just go with them. So you looked at the short one.
They,
Okay.
but they were adequate for minutes, which should be a summary of the meeting, so you can follow the meeting.
Then want to look at them some more? Or are we just gonna go with this?
I'm good with what.
Chris
we
might be
had
reading.
pending.
But
Yeah.
he's nodding as he reads.
Really good.
Okay. I make a motion that we go ahead and accept the December 29 and January 5th, is it?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we're going to table
January 19th.
last month's until next, because I haven't had a chance to look at them. I assume everybody else just look at it.
Came out, yeah. Lance there.
Okay. Thank you. Membership terms and renewals. So Keisha and I have had a little back and forth about when people are actually expiring. As far as we can tell, the only people who are actually expiring this year are me and Tom. And you, because you inherited a term, me, because I've actually been here for 3 years. Like most of y'all. So,
Lori's been here for longer, but.
right, she's not in her current third year. So this is February, just next month, we need to let the select board know who wants to continue. So I guess that is an action item because we don't do anything about it. When do you? I think we should do it now because then we can just tell the select board. Because our meeting in March is pretty late in March.
What's the day before theirs usually?
Yeah, but they meet twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And they change it sometimes.
Yeah, I could simply get a consensus, right? Who wants to continue?
So I am willing to continue. I might not last 3 years, just a word of warning, but I'm certainly willing to up for right now. Unless,
We have to rediscuss officers anyway.
that's a
Or something,
different,
right? That's a
different
different process.
conversation.
Yeah,
So just because I'm a member doesn't mean I have to chair.
right.
I don't think Tom's that into continuing.
You kind of pulling back last 3 years.
I'm not into it. I don't think.
3 months has been enough. He doesn't want 3 years.
Mark's got his guns out.
This is like a Survivor episode.
And I don't think we vote on that. What have we done in the past? I don't even know.
No.
The draft bylaws
Okay, covers.
It's in the bylaws now.
that basically the chair or the co-chair will let the select board and town clerk know at least 1 month prior to April 1st. Okay, so that's the end of this month.
Okay.
Along with a notice of whether that individual desires reappointment or if the seat will become vacant due to resignation or term limit having been met. Additionally, the majority may vote to make a recommendation to the select board of another qualified individual. Okay, so basically what should happen is I would like to serve another term so that can get communicated to the select board. And you could do thusly, and we're all done. And Mark will be the liaison.
I will email the select board as such. Okay, great. So we will get to bylaws, but meanwhile, just a little bit of updates. So monitoring ports, I sent out the letter to Vernon's with input from you all. I didn't get your input until I'd already sent it out, but I'm not sure what
I
it.
was waiting for a response from
I was waiting for a response from Ariana. I never
You
got.
can find it you can find that information in a second. It's just not backed up by like RSAs, so.
So the way it reads now is that we recommend that they move it. I mean, if we were to come across information later that said we have legal standing to require them, we have to have legal standing. And unless we have that, we can't require them to move it. We can ask them to move it. We can strongly suggest they move it, but we can't require it.
Why wouldn't we have legal standing since we represent the town for the, who owns the
So we-
easement?
Because we can't require them to do something that is not required under the terms of their,
Easement.
like, we couldn't require them to put up a blue sign in the middle of something.
But you can require to move something hazardous off conservation land. And it's part of the, when I said generic response I got back from, the state was essentially, well, no, it's not, this stuff's not permitted, but the conservation committee has to come forward and say that.
It's so,
That's why I said, that's why I said, well, I don't have like an RSA to give you, which I think is what you're looking for, and I didn't.
yeah, because if I feel like if I tell them
Oh, I'm,
to, they're gonna want, so how about I write a letter to our new attorney and say, here's the concern. How would you suggest we move forward?
yeah.
In doubt, call a lawyer. Okay.
see how much they're really charging us.
Or do we wait and see what the response is?
I think it's a good question that I don't really know the answer to. Like, how much authority do we have to say you're not following good conservation practices? But it'll take me a while to get to the lawyer, so.
Yeah. I guess the new attorney is cheaper.
And I want to send them the letter anyways, because I like them just at, I feel like they need to have on file all communications that we've done there, so.
While we're on the topic of that easement too, have we heard anything back from the waste management services that are potentially up against that river that affects that property?
Yeah.
Board sent out the letter
Yeah.
into January, is that, have they?
Yeah, that's the next thing on the agenda.
All right.
So let's just see if we're done with Vernon's, and were there any other easement questions, issues that you had out there that I'm forgetting? Okay, well, let's have an update on Resource Waste Services application. Hopefully it's not.
Except the drinking water fund assistance.
No, that's,
Quite a bit has gone on. So I could say we sent off letters.
just go back and remind people what this is.
Okay, there is
In reference to,
this is in reference to a permit application submitted by Resource Services, Inc. to add in municipal waste handling into a site that they currently have construction debris handling in the drag strip area of Epping, a stone's throw from Newfields, Exeter, and Brentwood.
But the river is also
And
right there
the
too.
Class A scenic Viscosic River is very, very close to, they're well within the shoreline setback of that. So that's what this is in reference to. So we sent off, the Conservation Commission sent off a letter in mid-January, and the Select Board did as well. There were ones from the Select Board of Exeter. There was the Concom of Newmarket, did the same thing. SELT submitted one. CLF did one, probably leaving one or two out. So letters have been sent with concerns about various aspects of this. In the meantime, we're not sitting back and just waiting for that letter to be responded to. By the way, the DES will respond to all letters. The decision date is going to be April 12th, okay? But I have talked to really 3 people up in Concord related to this application to get more information on it. And we're kind of trying to connect the dots and all that. One of the things in play is that the decision to have this become a regionally planned application and operation up there seems to rest with the Epping Planning Board to toss that to the Rockingham County Planning Commission. And then that can broaden it out to more of a regional awareness, maybe a forum, maybe the highway aspects and all that, get more played into an overall county plan. So it seems like there's a lot of emphasis on that, the town of Epping Planning Board to really do the right thing and include these 3 other towns like ours that are a stone's throw away from this entity. There's another one, which is the Lamprey River
I did the advisory committee.
Advisory Committee, yeah, not associated, Advisory Committee, LRAC, that also has kind of a stronger lever to pull with respect to their resistance or their wishing this permit not to go through. They have submitted a letter. They are meeting tomorrow night. I'm going to go to that meeting and reflect some of the opinions of this commission, probably as well as Exeter and the other towns around here, and get that conversation going. And one of the goals of this is to learn more about the process and how we can get it regionalized, but also to learn more and give the opportunity for Resource Services to present a clear picture of what they plan to do with that operation. Because right now that is not clear at all. There's really been nothing on that. The hearing on January 12th that was done was had a few minutes of presentation. So basically, they didn't do a presentation on what they were going to do up there at that site. So there's a lot of things in play here, a lot of environmental issues. There's a lot of issues with the traffic, as I mentioned. You have noise and smell issues, and maybe procedurally, there's some issues with how this was done. And the fact that it was not, to say it was not well publicized is diminishing really the point here. Nobody really knew about this in the local area. So are there any questions? I'm quite deep into a lot of minutia on this, but I'm happy to
And is there
answer.
any actions you think the commission should be taking sort of formally? I know you're doing a lot, but as a commission, is there anything else that we should be doing right now?
I think that getting the Lamprey River people in communication with myself tomorrow is really the next step. And trying to get a presentation from the company on what they plan to do. And as far as other things going, there's still communication going with, depending on what happens really, well, I'll get back with the county. I also think, and one of the main things is this week, and I've done some of that, is to communicate with Newmarket, Brentwood, and Exeter. And I've done one of those towns so far to try to get not so much a consortium of us, but to get a action plan that might include all four of us and maybe other towns as well that are in the Lamprey River watershed.
I told you, Tom's just really not into this.
On a Sunday, I sent something over to you, Tom, but I don't know if you looked at the last couple of pages that I sent. This was like some kind of application, that resource waste, and it was really scaring the crap out of me. Sorry, Hal. Is that if you look how close that facility is to the river, I measured it on Google Earth, and I think it was something like, was it 30 meters or 30 feet? Super close though, when you look at it. And I just forwarded you all these documents that have a map on the last page. And if you do go on Google Earth, you can do your own measurement to see exactly how close it is. And it's outrageous. The other thing is that, I don't know if you realize this, that that river runs through to the Rugg property. And I don't know what the plans are as far as that development for the Rugg property.
Well, it runs behind me. doesn't it?
Runs behind you as well, okay.
Yeah, it goes northeast before it hits Ruggs.
Does it, and it does go through the Rugg property as well, or is
No.
it just kind of?
No, so it goes under 87 where the ice pond is.
Yes,
Wisconsin.
yeah, okay.
So it's west of that.
It's also, it connects in a way at the ice pond to the other farm that's, forget the name of it, that's on Watson there too.
My thought is that if they're going to be pulling from that kind of groundwater, right, or that water source there, where it's going into these, they're not considered, they're reserves of water. It's not an aquifer, but they're these pockets of water. And that's going to be right there. And so these 70 homes or whatever, if they ever do build, they're going to be poisoning them plus the other majority of the, homes that are along that waterway or access to that water reserve.
But like I pointed out in the last meeting too, though, is the Vernons draw off that river livestock feed. And they're the first ones that comes to.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the question is, how do we get this out a little more so to let people know? I don't want to create, some kind of alarm where it's undue, but at the same time, should notify people that
Right.
that this is going to happen or could potentially happen, right?
Well, it seems like this Lamprey River Advisory Committee would have an overview of the river so that it would be a way that they know all the watersheds and so forth. So they ought to be able to say what the impacts are and groundwater impacts and so forth. So I think Tom's right. Then maybe the next step is understand what they know and what their concerns are, and then try to support that more broadly.
Mhm.
Since we represent a town, which is different than just an advisory committee.
So in short, we're doing some activities with L Rock and then also trying to get other towns involved. Thank you for that document. And that document supported what I believe we had the permit application where they take in about 42% of their waste is from Massachusetts, their construction waste presently. And so if that translated down to the municipal waste being 42% or in that ballpark, we can start to do some calculations on truck trips and traffic and all that kind of thing from 35 plus miles away from that.
And then if you look at some photos of the place, like if you've ever gone in there, it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's not a pristine, they're not like,
It's all over.
It's a transfer station full of garbage.
yeah, it's not well cared for,
What was the expansion supposed to support though? Something that was mentioned before that they might potentially be bringing in there with the expansion.
PCBs?
Yeah, because right now it's 90% construction debris is what it is. But
They have a PCB permit, but I believe that permit was for 20 ppm or below.
okay,
So it's trace PCBs that happen to be in with stuff. So I haven't really dived into that too much, but it's not barrels of PCBs.
Yes, okay.
It's residual,
It's good to know.
and I don't want to diminish it either, but that is, to read that it's lower part per million levels of PCBs.
But I think what you may be asking, Caleb, is they're bringing municipal waste is the next, is that correct?
that would be another question too, is
Yeah, so that's the second phase expansion, is that right? Is to bring in.
municipal? Yeah, because right now it's mostly wood.
What about other things like paint and,
It all gets
But see,
thrown.
that stuff gets mixed in regardless. It gets mixed into that construction debris. Same thing with lead and people skip over that stuff all the time and dump that in there.
right. It pours out onto the ground.
Mercury thermometers.
No, it's definitely an area for concern, big time.
And just today, I got some good information from Hobie, because I think looking at the public benefit, we want to look at the towns in our region. And our town generates a little more than 1/1 millionth of the amount of municipal waste that will go in there annually.
It doesn't currently go in there. right?
And the math just blows me away. We're about 1/1 millionth of the amount, we're a little less, or a little more than that, but. So it would take hundreds of thousands of new fields to have the volume of mass of municipal waste that place will be handling. The scope is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, you said there was about 750 tons a day, correct? Yeah. So if you were to just visualize that, if a car, we were talking about that, right? If a car is 2 to 3 tons, anywhere, stacking 250 cars on top of each other each and every day, coming into that little facility. And it's not cars.
A lot of truck traffic. It's not staying there, but you're saying just the fact that there's.
Well, the fact that it's going in, it's getting torn apart, distributed, moved around, and sitting right next to this river.
That is what happens to it too. It's all broken down. It's all chipped into smaller pieces. Now you got airborne debris in there too.
That's
I mean, that's what's happening right now already. And you probably didn't know that, but
No,
it's broken down, and if it's raining on it, if it's snowing on it, now it's broken down even more to go into the ground. And if you're gonna push that even closer to the river, that's a problem.
yeah.
and I wonder, I mean, how much of this town which would be a recipient of any of that? Let's say there was, if you poured a blue dye into that
It's gonna
river.
be roughly a quarter of it, I think, from land area where the river goes, so.
But will, if that filtered down, like how many people would that truly affect as far as the water quality?
And mostly, honestly, it goes north to Newmarket. So the river flows north.
But does it not kind of, doesn't some of that water filter into
It-
the groundwater and then,
It
and
will.
It would take
yeah.
a lot.
go into,
You would essentially affect every home on Mass Road and down 87 that
Yeah.
to the ice pond, but then going down Watson as well, just because there's tributaries that way.
Mhm.
The Halls Mill.
Yeah.
and Runaway Road.
Right, but everything all the way down to Watson, essentially on both sides of the river.
But I think as the town that's immediately downriver, in some ways, we are the most potentially impactable. Yeah,
Yeah, because it'll start diluting the further you go.
Epping's on the other side, Epping's uphill. Oh, they're like, yeah. But because we're downhill, yeah, so I think we all think that this is clearly very important.
I'm curious where Epping's planning board stands on the thing.
First of all, I think my calculations I just said were incorrect, so I'd like to mention that in the minutes. According to the project manager, there was 2 junctures at which the Epping Planning Board already or so far could have tossed it to the county, the Rockingham County Commission. One of them was initially, and the other one was last October or November, when there was another opportunity for them to do that with a letter. And then when, in April, it'll have to go before their planning board again to get the approvals and all that. And that would be the 3rd time. But if they haven't done it already, then I would suspect that may not do that in April either.
What does that mean? What do you mean if they don't?
They want to keep
Other
the
mechanisms
decision.
have to be pursued to try to get it regionalized.
Which is basically probably putting pressure on DES to make that a requirement in the permit. Something like that. Okay, I think we'll move on unless there's something else that we haven't heard. But generally speaking, thank you so much, Tom, for pursuing this, for keeping us up to date. And we'll cheer from the sidelines. Okay, anything else on that?
Just a question, how can we help with that? I mean, how can we do anything in the meantime or?
Well, I will say that the select board is supporting us. You know, it's certainly you and then Hobie as well at some occasions. So, and Kat as well. So, so I think, we have that and there's, requests, I feel that the opportunity exists to present anything to the select board that we might recommend would probably get support.
Okay, great. All right, bylaws. So did you bring any copies of the bylaws? And the other people here?
On the bylaws, so what has taken place, so several meetings ago, we voted to add one little section to change the ability for us to amend it beyond just a December timeline. So we did that. At the last meeting, we did a kind of a tentative approval on 2 sections, one with the select board liaison and the other one having to do with alternates. And so that text was in very good shape, 95% done, whatever, maybe a couple word changes, but other than that, it was good. That Chris and I have had a couple back and forth heavily on your very good input in writing and improving the finances section of that for income, accounts, and expenses. And that seems quite good, like that's in a good shape. And then the officers section,
But nobody's seen that.
nobody, well, Allison has actually now, but, and I don't know if you've seen that. I think I did send it off to you, the finances.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I did pop it up.
And we did discuss the officer section, which, is, we do want to discuss, one item tonight. So the sections are getting put together and I took those as well as the sections that were going to be in there, kind of the preamble part, things on votes, things on quorums, so many smaller sections. I put them together in one document and I sent that to Allison today at noon because she asked to see, she wanted to see the whole thing kind of playing out. And by what, 12:45, I had a nice response back, but that
Putting off writing on paper, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I did that instead.
was excellent. And so you can speak to that, but I think you were you're,
I thought they were good. So do we have, I mean, can we discuss them here? Do enough people have copies? Or,
but this is all from noon today, so
Yeah.
it has not been distributed, but your pass through on it really was the key thing. And in my estimation, all the sections are in there that need to be in there. Like there could be something we want to add that 6 months from now or a year from now, but the part that is important is that the bylaws, I think they are intact, but they also go along with some missions, some additional policy documents, okay, that I don't think belong in the bylaws. And so these are things that we can work on over the upcoming months, but they include things like,
Before you go on to that, so you said you put them in a document. Is that document accessible to everyone on the commission now? Or do you
no,
have to send?
only since like this afternoon,
it's about,
did I get it back from Allison where I felt like it was a good spot to do it. I didn't want to start sending off drafts that hadn't been past the chair. So we're at that point now, really, where I can do that. I'll put it on the folder, and send a link to it.
Okay, so Allison, you're sending
I
it
mean, I
on?
can send it out now. So what sorry, Tom, I should have printed these out and I didn't really think that through. Because I was hoping that we could discuss this here and come to some agreement, but if people don't have them to look at, I don't think we can do that.
No, because unless he put it in the public document, which I haven't looked at, I've only looked at the section that he asked me to comment on.
Yeah.
So I know I can't speak to any of the other sections, so I would be concerned about much discussion without other people who haven't been involved, not having
Yeah.
seen anything.
I could send them right now, but not everybody is going to be able to get to them. So.
Right.
I mean, what we have is, the committee worked on it and then, Allison's taken a look and I think those are good stage gates to have on and really one of the other stage gates to come up is the attorney to take a look at it, the town council, to take a look at it. And I think after tonight, so there's really no votes that we're not going to vote any text tonight, but we got really an issue or two that'd be good to talk about tonight. And then at that point, that can maybe roll into what goes out to everybody. And the big issue tonight and that we've brought up, all of us at various times, are term limits. Okay. And there's really two portions to that discussion. One is for members, period. And I'm going to say in my opinion, that the select board appoints us. So that has a lot to do with their own prerogatives and wishes. But then there's the term limits for the officers, which is something that has been, I think the three of us are in alignment that we think that there should be consideration for term limits for officers. So I want to open that up right now for discussion. And what we're referring to with officers is consecutive terms to be limited for chair, co-chair, secretary, and treasurer, or just the chair, co-chair, that type of thing.
So let me just getting my head around where we are in these revisions. So hopefully this matches. So Tom has done a draft. And before he does a final draft for our review, he wants to talk over a couple of questions. Would that be accurate? So once we talk over a couple of specific issues now, then Tom does a final draft and then that goes out to everybody. And then we discuss and vote on that language in March. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, Tom called me and asked me about this. I mean, I have never seen anybody not be happy to leave their post. So I don't know that I really have a strong opinion either way, because I think the point is kind of moot, but yes, I guess
It's worth
that's,
having it in there, I guess, right? The language.
I was just gonna say, if it's in there, there should also be a, kind of a side note of if there's nobody else who wants to step up for like your position, then it can continue.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was secretary for 20 years. Nobody wanted.
Mason was
I
trying.
mean, no, again, they
You do
voted me
run into
when
that.
I wasn't president meeting.
Yeah, and is that, I mean, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, I think in some of those posts like treasurer, it is great to have the same person. So I guess, well, I think we were talking more about chair. If we're talking about
Right.
positions like treasurer, I would definitely not want to see treasurer, or secretary. I would not want to see term limits on that.
Yeah,
That would be my-
because it's good that they know the history and what they're doing and stuff.
The draft as written has that, where the secretary and treasurer do not have term limits.
So it's just.
Sure, the code.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that chair and co-chair term limit, with the exception of nobody, want to write it.
What I've seen elsewhere is, I haven't seen that, but elsewhere there is where, if somebody's doing such a good job, they can continue on, but it has to be like a unanimous vote, or maybe, only one abstention or something, but so if everybody agrees, then it can continue on. And that's a way kind of around that, where you don't have to.
But the thing is, we're going to vote on these we elect officers. So it seems to me, if you've got someone, if somebody else wants that position, that comes out in the election.
I think the purpose, I absolutely agree, but also the purpose of the bylaws is somebody new coming in is educated on everything, so they don't know like, oh, hey, we're normally gonna do this, because well, you'll lead into that next part too, but yeah, just so somebody's educated on it coming in or with interest coming in, not actively sitting.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I also think just from the pure view of good governance and safeguards, like you're saying, Allison, I think if somebody wants that role, we're all going to vote unanimously, right? I think having term limits, at the very least, gives the appearance of good governance and safeguards. So, I mean, generally, I'm in favor of it, but, and the point is kind of, not moot, but if you have something in there, some sort of clause like, unanimous vote to keep that person in that office, then there's a way of sort of mitigating.
Maybe you have a term limit checkpoint. That's what it would be, in a sense, because it's not like it's not like it's a voted position like the select board, for instance, where the town votes. So it's just a checkpoint where after 3 years, you would still get the consensus from the group, vote that person again.
By the way, but the offices are elected every year. But that's an annual thing, so it could be 3 years, but
Yeah.
it's not a 3-year term to begin with. They're, every year they get elected, reelected after the appointment's been made. You pretty much have to do that because there's new members coming in and all that, so
Okay, oh, it's 1 year.
it's a 1-year.
Okay, I think the impression is 3.
Doesn't that kind of create a term limit? Because if people are not, if we have to vote for who's chair, and we decide they're not doing a good job, then we vote for somebody else.
But I see what you mean about good governance, people. I mean, this is,
So how long would you say a term limit should be?
he's got 3 consecutive annual terms in a 5-year period. So you get 2 years off. So you could have assumably a chair and a co-chair. I mean, that's all commonly what happens is then the co-chair becomes the chair.
Right.
Chair moves to Florida.
You got plans, Allison? You're not telling us about it?
I mean, I guess I'm okay with the no more than 3 consecutive. I'm getting my head around it gradually. And if it turns out to be a big issue, I mean, bylaws are amendable. You don't want to go around doing it just because you change your mind, but this is really not the right way to do it. Because I don't know. And we have had a chair for more than 3 years, but usually it's someone who doesn't, I mean, maybe it's a way for the chair not to.
But again, the bylaws, education, and then in the future, who knows what a group down the line is gonna do. So put it in there just to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
written for now, you know. Chris says good governance
Well,
in the future, right, you know.
It's a hard balance, right? Because as you were saying with treasurer or secretary, there's some benefit to some continuity there. And, you know, if somebody's secretary chronicling things over time, they've got that, you know, long-term institutional knowledge. But with the, I suppose with the chair and the vice chair, I could see there being, you know, some kind of limits there. We had a conversation about term limits in general. Like I know on a lot of boards or commissions, there might be, you know, I've seen them written as such that you can serve 2 consecutive 3-year terms and then you're required to take a year. And that part of that is the governance piece, but also part of it is to, if there are people in the community that are interested, then we're not always voting the same people and you get new blood, you get, you know,
That's for any seat.
for any seat. Yeah, for any of the commission seats. And then, you know, I think with that, one of the, as we were playing devil's advocate, when we were talking about that, you know, is that I don't know historically with the Newfields Conservation Commission, if there has been a challenge having enough people. It seems like there's always been a fair amount. And then in recent years, whether it's, I don't know if it's just because of topics that have come up that it could be more visibility or more interest in the commission, but
So the town's getting bigger.
yeah, that's true. And the other piece too is if you're that interested in the Newfields Conservation Commission and you have your 2 consecutive 3-year terms and you're required to take a year off, there are other ways to, I know we're talking about potential of committees or even just, you know, seeing from the vast audience that we have, it could be, you could show up to meetings and engage.
You'd be an alternate too.
Or you could be an alternate. So I think, I was saying to Tom, I like the idea of that from a governance standpoint. Is it a deal breaker for me? No, but I think having term limits are always sort of a good thing. We look at that with our federal government, many instances. I think that some people that have been in there for 40, 50 years.
To be clear, we are just talking about officer terms. We're not talking
Right.
about membership terms. So you can be a member for your entire life, should one.
Well, no.
No, he was talking.
Saying.
Oh, you were talking, but for.
Yeah, I had shifted
All
to
right.
just talking generally about term limits.
Yeah. Yeah, but so am I right? That we are not, for the purposes of this document, we are not talking about general membership,
No,
right?
Chris was bringing that up
I was bringing that up, but
as part of the document.
I mean,
We might also consider.
Tom and I had that conversation and I was saying that I'm in favor of it, but it's not a deal breaker for me that if it didn't exist in our bylaws.
I see. Okay, that's, yeah. And now I'm putting it together. I think I would not endorse that just because I wouldn't say that it's easy to get people on the commission. And I think the longevity is really, really helpful.
Yeah, there's value in people that have been through a lot of the conversations that can quickly
Yeah.
educate us about what's happened in the past.
And I
think it's a fair thing to keep in the back pocket for the future.
I can see that. I mean, I
I'm
do see,
surprised, and I think it's a bit too bad that we don't have some adjunct roles or positions that has somebody that was on the commission 5 years ago, 7 years ago. You know, Lori, you've been on it. You're a member here, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it would be kind of nice if we had more people that were here in 2012 and 2016.
Well,
We
that's
don't have that position.
for a long time, people weren't interested.
Why? I'm surprised about it. Why? Is that?
I think also maybe if you widen the scope of what you're looking at, like water quality and just issues with land use and all of that, that you're chiming in a little bit more so on these things instead of just, you know, conservation easements and looking at, you know, reviewing them and that's it, right? So why couldn't it be a wider scope? would imagine other Concom do that, right? They do that. So,
And it has been. It sort of depends on the composition of the commission and who's got time. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Um,
But if there are people involved that want to get involved with that, I mean, let's chase, why not chase it, right? I mean,
Certainly the mission as in chapter 36A around conservation commissions is quite broad. So it's up to each conservation commission to decide what is most important and what they want to prioritize.
I'm looking for the,
Just over the last couple of months, so you brought up the school parking thing, we're getting involved. You also brought in the window program too. Now we have the water barrel program.
No, I think they approached Allison and I just.
But no, it's,
Yeah.
it seems like it is broadening and if it keeps going with all the attendance, they might bring in even more ideas. No, but plenty of people do watch at home and they might bring more ideas forward.
that's
Hey,
fair.
hey, there's a good way to throw that out there. And
Plus, if we start to, like Thomas suggested previously, some more educational programs from the various organizations that we do support. We're trying to be more proactive about getting something in the community newsletter from the library each quarter. So there are ways to keep expanding our outreach so that people say, hey, you know, and maybe they weren't interested in the window dressers, but now somebody comes with the rain barrel thing.
Yeah.
And, oh, maybe that's not the perfect one, but, you know, somebody says, hey, I heard about this waste thing. So I think it can, you know, it can and should be. I think originally when this started, there was a lot of concern about open space in the community because it wasn't very
land
well.
planning.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of land planning and there was a lot of change starting to happen. And now there's a little bit more sense that I get, at least from the select board members and so forth, is that, hey, we've got a lot of conserved land in this community. So maybe we need a different kind of focus because Tom and I and Lori looked at some of the maps and we can do that another time, but there aren't that many more parcels that we might look at and say, ooh, if we had that person and, you know, give us an easement or participate in some way, we get a nice corridor. There's a few, and we might want to do that, but it's not going to be a lot. And so it is a different focus, I think, now than it probably was originally.
you know that if we were able to publicize the waste services thing a little bit more right now, social media, whatever, you'll probably get a lot of people in town jumping in on standing up for that or voicing their opinion on it big time.
Or at least wanting to find out.
And if we could push it somehow too, social media or whatever avenue, there might be some people with some pretty good ideas in town and with some connections to be heard a little bit more too.
Right.
so my concern with doing that, and you all can tell me what you think, and that is when you raise something on social media, people get super excited and they're going to want something to do. So now you need to have a point person who's going to. He didn't seem enthusiastic.
Great thing to get behind and get people to start researching on though. You know, that affects this town big time.
I agree. I think it's worth broadcasting and not to say the sky is falling, right? Because people will freak out, right? But to call it to their attention somehow in a modulated way.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be factual, informative.
But then when they say, so what can I do? Or where can I get more information? You need to have an answer to that. So there needs to be
We're
like,
trying to figure that out too.
right,
Like a call to action,
there could be a little town committee that gets together and talks about ideas.
come to the next.
Some petitions to the Epping Planning Board too, to, you know, take it to get the whole region involved rather than just the town.
Yeah,
Sending emails to I don't know if the DES would even respond to that, but you know.
yeah, and just to be clear, I think this is a great idea. My hesitation is that I personally don't have the time to do any of this. So my hesitation is not that it's not a good idea. It's how, you know, who can do that and who, you know, who wants to. So that's,
But that's a little off the bylaws topic anyway. where we're talking
True,
about.
we did get told, okay, you're right, we got distracted, okay.
So the question is about bylaws. So do we want term limits on any of the officers? And then do we want term limits on members generally? And then in either case, you know, which officers and which term limits would we consider? I don't see a strong reason to have term limits on general membership, given the history of the organization so far. But I understand your point about you can put it in and then, you know, give an out or something that, you know, by unanimous vote, you can say somebody else can still be nominated. But the officers, I think it makes sense because it is often hard when you become an officer to find a gracious way out without discouraging others on, you know, on the committee. And yet if you put a term limit in, then somebody takes it on and knows that they're not committing the rest of their life to it.
Yeah, it both prevents people from staying too long and saves them from staying too long. So yeah, I'm warming up.
So I just wanted to take us back to the
Yeah.
topic at hand.
I think there's going to be policy documents, as I mentioned earlier, and one of them that I think we all agree on will be more of a mission statement that isn't just legalese, you know, kind of like what you put in the bylaws. And in that mission statement, probably should be something along the lines that we want to engage the whole community and that we're desirous of having some turnover and people coming into the commission new each term, you know, or put your name up, you know, to go in there. So we're not just reappointing ourselves and doing that each year. I think that would be like a best practices thing to go along kind of with what you're saying. And it doesn't need to be a rule, you know, on a bylaw. It's like any company, organization, business, you know, you got to have new employees, basically.
Yeah, and I was thinking about your sort of bringing more people in and I couldn't find the right section, but under committees, doesn't it say that non-commission members can be a member of a committee?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a way that people can feel like they're useful and they can speak without, it's another great way to bring members in sort of as at the intro level.
Yeah, and we can even advertise for people like, we want to form a committee and we'd like to expand it beyond the commission. Anybody of interest, please contact us.
So going back to the term limits, so we're not voting now. My suggestion would be that we've all kind of expressed our opinions, we think about it, Tom comes up with a draft, and then at the next meeting, we're going to actually vote on it. So at that point, we'll sort of agree, people can think about what they feel about.
Yeah, okay, Chris,
Come to peace.
were you going to move
Feeling.
something or resolve? I don't know if you were going to propose that we resolve on that topic, but
I
you're,
think we're still in is there anybody else that wants to express an opinion? Because I've heard a couple of different opinions and we kind of already accepted that your subcommittee would be bringing a proposal forward. So unless somebody feels strongly about some of the terms, I think you, as a group, can consider feedback and consider what makes sense.
I'm in line with the officer's term or the chair and co-chair. I think the idea of regular member term is a good idea too, but not a deal breaker as well. What are other towns doing on that? Finally, I stumped them.
Certainly for other towns where people have been on the commission for decades.
you do see
I don't
them.
know if there are,
A term limit
There are
on BTR.
various kind, yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought I'd skimmed over on one of the towns, but
Well, and to the point of maybe new fields, I mean, again, there's nobody knocking down the door right now to necessarily be on the commission. However,
Well, we have a couple of people that are expressed interest.
right, so things are growing, so maybe at a point in time, it makes sense. I mean, again, I was thinking, put it in our back pocket for now. Does it sound like there's an overall desire to institute general member term limits at this point, but maybe in the future?
but I could definitely see that it's a town size thing.
Yeah,
If your town is small and you
Yeah.
can make your committees, if your town is big and you have a lot of people who want to.
absolutely, yeah.
And we may be creeping up into
Yeah.
that. that area.
Is it clear in there already about, non-committee members being part of the subcommittees? It's pretty spelled out.
I couldn't find that section.
Because there was interest discussed before from someone here in town about joining, but there was some express stuff, but that person could join some of the subcommittees. And, you know, then not miss,
Absolutely.
right? And so is that, I just didn't know if that was something they knew they could do.
I don't think we've done that historically, but if we say that we're going to be, for example, that person, one of the concerns was they own property that has an easement. So,
Daily, that's what,
Right.
yeah. So,
so there are other,
hey, you could jump on.
well, we haven't used committees though, that I've seen. I don't know, Lori, about the history, but it seems like we've not explicitly said, here are the things we're trying to accomplish. Here's the commission member that's going to be responsible. And the commission member can then say, solicit, you know, input or membership from the community to be part of a committee. And that, I believe that is allowed by our bylaws, the way I remember reading them. But we haven't done that because we've tended to act as a commission, not by, here's the 10 things we would like to accomplish or, you know, make progress on, and how are we going to do this? Because it looks to me historically like we've reacted to things as they've come up and
I
driven.
think they're having committees, and I think personally, the committees are a fabulous idea, and we should have more of them.
And if we're gonna bring in more stuff, and,
Yeah, I think they're a great idea.
Yeah, because we could have an educational committee,
yeah,
right? And, you know, if Tom's saying, I really want to do this, and he's our point person, and then we invite others in the community that he knows that, you know, are members of our town and maybe are also on some of these other
Yep.
educational groups. And so maybe, you know, it's not, it doesn't mean that all of us or even 2 or 3 of us have to be the committee. It's one person that then has a committee and we see what interest there is in the topic.
We can bring anybody from the public. We can also hire people. You know, so it goes
We have
down.
money.
We had an example tonight, Gina Thomas said, with the rain barrel. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not setting that up now, but that's just an obvious thing where there could be a segue where that little side project would be a committee type thing where she'd be a member of the public involved with it through the garden club and everybody's happy.
Let's go back to the wording of the bylaws. We love committees. We'll move on to them eventually, but so the wording of the bylaws, Tom is going to come up with a draft on the limits and we can discuss again and vote. People can think about that. I just checked the language under committees and it specifically says commission members or members of the public. And then were there other specific points that you wanted to?
No, that's it. I mean, these were pretty intact.
I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
I thought they were great. You guys did a great job. I had one comment. It's not really about the language.
Allison, the finances stuff, you had a question on
Yeah.
it. I basically
It's
said,
not really so much a comment as a question.
but maybe offline.
So under funds and public interest, there's a paragraph that describes the different funds we have. I don't know, and maybe you know, Lori, do you know how those funds are constrained? Because there's a line in here, there should be a line in here that says funds will be expended as allowed by the constraints, and they're different.
The constraints are listed in 36A in one of the sections.
But we have 2 accounts.
Yeah, and the one account is established from the conservation fund, and that comes from the current use tax. The other is for donations and other things, and apparently we used to have a separate checking account.
Yeah.
Before the town went.
I didn't know that. So why do we have like a whole bunch of money from donations?
From what?
From
The
donations.
2 accounts, one was current use. Where did the other money come from?
Well, I mean, they've been, that's the thing is originally when they did the open space committee, they committed $2 million. And this is like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So one of those accounts, because
Oh, it's left.
we had 75,000 in that was, there wasn't a lot left because that's when they got all the property, the Silver City,
That makes total sense. Okay.
all those.
Shit. Okay.
So I think one of the accounts is that and the other I think current use is separate.
Okay. I made some edits to that paragraph and I sent them to Tom and he'll send them to you and you guys can look at them. I don't know if we need to discuss them here. I just wanted to, I just had that question about the different funds. And I don't think I
Yeah, and I'm
had
trying to
any
get
other.
clarification from Sue because she told me one thing that didn't sound right. But since she was off today, she didn't get back to me yet to clarify.
Yeah, and I don't think I had any other major, I had some comments about the different, and just something to think about in terms of roles. So we have a treasurer's role, which is basically described as, oh, sorry, secretary. I would really like to put under one of these officer roles, and I think it's secretary, something about information management. It just didn't used to be an issue because we took them in the back and we stuck a paper in a file, but now we have so much information. I get all of these emails. I'm not really, I mean, they're always in my email because it's a town email and it'll be conserved, so they're not going to get lost. But where does correspondence go? And I feel like there's a hydra in there that's kind of getting out of control. So that's my pitch for putting sort of information management under the secretary's role. So it's like, that's fine, because it's not going to be me.
You had earlier had that in as a, data management clerk, basically to handle data. But why does it have to be one of the officers? I kind of see it as being another
I don't
member, but
think the officer has to do it. You can always assign things to something, but there needs to be, I think it should be, right now it's kind of the chair's responsibility. And I'm definitely not doing a good job on that.
That's why you give it to the co-chair.
everything goes up.
Yeah, I feel like the way we handle information is different from it was when these things were written. And that we should acknowledge that there's so much more information that we have and that there's an official position, or it's under some official position to make sure that that happens. And I can say, so-and-so do it, but somebody needs to keep track of it.
Sounds like a good job for the select board liaison.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
So Allison, when you put out that request for somebody to compress the files and stuff, did anybody ever answer you?
So we have a recording secretary.
No, I know.
Those things, no, nobody
Well, I
ever did.
responded and said, part of the problem is there was duplicates.
Yeah, I sorted them all out. So, and I've given up. I've just put them all in folders. The problem is they're so big, they're almost unmailable, but I decided to just
Navigating.
carry on.
They shouldn't be as PDFs.
They shouldn't be. I cannot figure it out. I mean, I tried cutting out pages and putting them back in. I did what I could. So, anything else?
So maybe we need a community member who is interested.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We could have a communications subcommittee. We could ask for a volunteer. We could totally do that.
Especially if we want to do more advertising or letting people know about rain barrel
Yeah.
programs and
Yeah.
window dressers and so forth.
We had those two potential new volunteers. We could reach out to them as well. Would you like to help? And
The two, so one of them in theory, one of them has been recommended to the select board, but
Yeah.
we're waiting on
well, to tap both of them to say if you'd like to help.
he's an IT director at UNH.
Oh,
So brilliant. He just sent me a note. He said he's just taken a position at UNH, doing some kind of IT thing. I was like, yes.
there you go. Yeah, so we could say, Dan, you've already been nominated for.
Past our liaison delegated.
Yeah. Many hands makes light.
It was in his signature and I was like, whoa.
Sounds like a perfect opportunity to get him.
So where is that at as far as him being on?
So the select board doesn't want to do the appointment until we have finalized the bylaws that say how we do appointments, which hopefully we will do at the next meeting. Yeah. I did reach, every once in a while I send him a note and say, still interested? He's like, yeah.
Well, and that makes sense, given that we've got.
Well, I think we could
election coming up
come to
and everything.
meetings. I mean, he could be coming to meetings. So I will tell it
I
next.
have an idea where that little paragraph that you love on the recording secretary or recording clerk. Another sentence says that the commission shall identify one of its members as a data management expert or clerk.
That's true.
Records management.
records man, yeah, other records man. And that we can kind of work this through then, we're trying to pile everything on to get this done in March, but we can kind of,
That was the paragraph I recommended you delete, but you can
I know,
discuss it later
No,
if
you're
you
not.
want, your choice.
He might be able to help you with the drive.
Or maybe it will like, heck no, people pay me to do this. Okay, any other discussion on bylaws? Anything else you want to bring up, Tom?
the only thing actually, no, I'm also bylaws.
So prior to the next meeting, we will get a draft that we will review and we will discuss and vote at the next meeting.
I think the next step really, let's get the finance thing nailed down, but in the next few days if we can. And then everybody will have access to this by the end of this week. The waiting into March is way too long. So
Yeah.
I think it's close enough. So it's very days away.
Great. Okay, correspondence, rain barrel program, done that. There's the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commission's
Invoice. So I think we need to vote that we approve the payment so I can request the payment.
Yep. So we have an invoice from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. We have that in our budget. And
It's $250.
$250. And I would like a motion, discussion. Anybody not want to pay them?
I have been speaking with them and Barbara Richter, and they're great, and they're going to be
Please.
asset. So I move that we make payment for the 2026 dues for NHACC.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Drinking water fund assistance, and I can't even remember. That was something that came in from DES. That was just mentioning that there is DES funding for people whose wells went dry and they're doing an extension or to do some kind of improvement. Who's the?
That was a long time.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't send it to you guys because she did. I just had it because that's a correspondence. Do we want to do anything about that?
I don't think there's anything we can do. That was a individual program.
Yeah, I think the only thing we could do is if we had a forum to push information out, which we may in the future, but don't really now. That was the kind of thing that we would do.
Sue's email is the best we have right now.
We have the drought assistance program, I think was helped along and driven perhaps by Janet Stevens, the executive counselor for this region. And that she seemed like she had a role in that, which was great. And I believe it was announced at the recent select board meeting, what that was. And so there's a program to help people with well repair or replacement that were affected by, I don't know if that drought and being dry in general, but that should be something we want to make everybody aware of.
Great.
If it's still pertinent, then we can put it in next quarter, not the library thing next, but
Yeah, that's true.
we can keep tabs on those because Sue can't keep tabs on everything, but if we think it might be worthwhile, we can use that as a form for the time being.
Okay. HB 1691 is a bill moving its tortuous way through the New Hampshire system, which would abolish current use. Current use is like a non-tax, so it would abolish the current use exemption for land which is not being used and developed.
Say that again?
So current use, land that is in, I can never remember. So land that is not developed, is not being used, not being lived on,
And more than 10
is
acres.
exempt, and more than 10 acres is exempt from some of the municipal taxes.
My impression was they're going to really limit it, not abolish it.
Yeah, it's not abolished. I read that.
They're gonna make it a lot harder
Okay, to make
to
it.
get current use.
And I guess I don't know if we have an opinion, if there's anything we do here, but just it was more.
Well, obviously,
Just be aware, our funding.
Our
when it
funding
returns-
come in current use, yes.
Yes.
So we have potentially some interest again.
And I asked
I don't know how
Sue,
much,
I asked Sue because all the money that's come through current use taxes has gone to the paying off the bond
Yep.
by approval. And she thought I was asking about what the future current use tax would look like, and she couldn't say. And I said, no, what I really want is what has the history been over the past 2 decades, so that we could try and get an idea about how much additional funding we might see. But even that is not entirely correct because the town voted to direct all the money to the payment of the bond. We actually have to get a position and work with the select board to get something on the warrant articles for next year in order to get any money back. Because right now it got voted as 0%. And so the way I read the statutes.
did you read the actual vote?
No, I didn't read the
So
actual
my
vote.
recollection is the vote said that it automatically,
Oh, I'm at, okay.
Yeah, it comes back to,
I think that was what the vote was.
Yeah.
So I think it should end that, that's actually,
It's
So
from
we can-
20 years ago. I can't,
I know, but we can. We can find that language and it probably is worth. bringing
okay,
it up.
but anyway,
What's the purpose, behind the state pushing that? Are they doing it to encourage people to put into conservation then?
it seems,
No.
no,
not,
they're trying to limit the benefit of having pieces of land and then developing it, is what it sounded like.
yeah.
The overall bill.
So they're pushing.
They're putting
So,
restrictions.
yeah, the current use legislation from 1972 was a hallmark bit of legislation that many other states have copied. And it's the reason we have so much open space and accessible space in hiking areas in New Hampshire. Just plain and simple. Huge bill, everybody's copied it. And it's an assessing technique to allow for a like reduced tax rate for land that isn't requiring any services from the town. So it's left alone. And its current use means whatever the current use was, it can still be forested and things like that. In fact, tree farms tend to be this type of thing. So it's been a great bit of legislation for conservation purposes generally. So,
Farm, I mean, you're allowed to farm it too.
Yeah, you are allowed to farm, exactly.
yeah, right, it's exactly.
Whatever.
We knew about this was from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, who are opposing this bill very strongly. They're concerned about this getting some traction. It's actually sponsored by Ellen Reed up in Newmarket. So our rep is the one sponsoring it. Okay.
I think that's so
She's
weird.
sponsoring it. And the co-sponsor spoke at the hearing from Peterborough, another, articulate gentleman who spoke on it as well. And the gist of it is that the current use allotment of land and kind of tax revenues is seen as an opportunity to get increased taxation and revenue from that land and to get more land off of current use to be developed for housing. So the linkage is made between the current use opportunity here in our state, which I think is great from a conservation standpoint, but it does have maybe a de-incentivizer for additional housing to be built and developments. So that's a bit of the goal, really, as paraphrasing some of the things from NHACC, is in fact, if you Google it online, it'll say it's a tax related legislation that has to do more with taxes than anything. That's what I found. But there are some other aspects to it. But one of the threads that was being drawn was that it would be a benefit for the housing crunch.
We're also doing it because there's school districts with, budget issues right now too. So I wonder if they're looking at it to help benefit that.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Municipalities probably make more money from developed land than, well, I'm sure they do. They make more money from developed land.
But I read the text of what they're proposing to add,
Mhm.
and the text only commented on definitions of like what's urban, what's rural and so forth. So they had like multiple definitions and they were clarifying the definitions of what's what. And if you're near a community that's 50,000 people already, then you're not, you can't be rural and things like that. So most of it was about clarifying and probably restricting land that can be put into current use. So I don't think it would affect Newfields very much because we're not near any town that's 50,000. And it limits it so that it used to, I guess it used to be that you had to have, way more than 10 acres and you had to have no buildings on it. And like, well, there are all kinds of restrictions on it. And they're trying to get rid of the restrictions, but also make it clear that if you want the current use, you can't have 10 acres, the minimum, and only have 2 acres of it that's farmed and still get the current use. So the text itself only seems like it's trying to clarify and limit what people can claim as current use.
And is it future or are they gonna go back to everything that's already in it?
It's just an addition that the way I read it, and I'm not a lawyer, but the way I read it is that it looked like it was just clarifying things that were already in the bill. So it wouldn't change the bill itself. It was just an added paragraph that was going to more specifically state what land could be considered for current use status.
I think the flavor of it that I got was that it was much more severe than clarifying it. It was going to pull a lot of land out of
Well, if you
current use. Now, how it impacts new fields is something that I wish to be educated more on.
I would say I can imagine it impacting land immediately around Concord and Manchester and places like that. But I don't see it impacting anything in our area because I don't even think Portsmouth is 50,000 people. So I don't know how the seacoast just doesn't seem like it's going to be
I
impacted.
think that what you're getting at is in the text is that the rural areas up north, they are allowed to have larger tracts of current use allotments. And some of those are huge up there already. So that, it wasn't going to pull those down. But I think some of the ones that are more urban areas can be 40 acres maximum, which is much smaller. And then the rest would come out of current use, get taxed as general tax, it'd be part of your property tax and you'd be paying it
The number of
normal rates.
places that have more than 40 acres is pretty small. I think.
Well, for us, yes, but out by Con, there's a lot. I mean, there's more around here than you think.
I mean, is there a limit now?
I don't think so, because there's some
I know.
ones up north.
I mean, I have friends with 180 acres in Durham and
Yeah.
that's all in current use.
And I don't know that it matters if it affects new fields. I think as a conservation organization, I mean, I don't know if there's anything we do, but I would say that personally, I would feel that a conservation organization would have an interest in a concern in a bill that potentially reduces conservation across the state.
Well, I guess the question is, I mean, some people are going to have views based on their beliefs. So how do we get a neutral interpretation? Because I'm concerned if somebody's saying, oh, this is going to be terrible, blah, 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 that they're reading certain things into it that I don't see in the text. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly how, and I didn't read the whole law.
But I mean, you personally, I mean, I don't think that as a commission, we're necessarily going to officially do anything. So you can certainly, whatever your interpretation is. But I think, I mean, my take was be the sort of the credible source. So this is the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. So their goals should be aligned with ours, hopefully.
I'm sure they have lawyers looking at it.
That's
That's what they're saying, so.
That's the heads up, basically.
Yeah.
At the select.
There was,
I'd be sort of curious.
And they're looking.
People get this, what their take is.
It does seem like we ought to understand more about the current land use tax from both sides, because that's our source of funding
Mhm.
going forward. And it impact is a source of funding for the town, because at most we were getting 50%, so the town's getting the other 50%. So we all ought to understand what current land use tax has been, and therefore what the impact of a change in law could be, because there could well be a finding.
But that, I mean, we only get
We
the
only-
tax if somebody sells land
Right,
for development.
right.
So I'm not sure.
Current
the
land
new
use tax
law-
is.
I don't know, I'm not sure the new law would really, except for the fact it would be incentive. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, my friends were limited to 40 acres. And 120 acres are going to develop. I can tell you that right now.
So is there an action? Should we? I mean,
I like you were going with that from the conservation standpoint and this commission standpoint. And the fact that the Association of Conservation Commissions does not support it. The county planning commission does not seem to support it from conversation I had with them. But I think that our position should maybe be discussed, or I would say that we would likely oppose this bill. And I say that from the knowledge I have of that bill in general from 1973 is why New Hampshire is so unique.
so,
It has so much open space.
so I guess I'm looking for, is there a specific action? Like, is there a comment period? Is there? I did.
Yeah, I don't want to take an action as a commission without knowing more about it.
Right, but I don't even know what
The
action.
hearing was last week.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to it, it was February 10th. But it's in a legislative mode right now, so there can be comments. So on the Association of Conservation Commission action sheet, they've got a click basically where you can go to the House public comment webpage where you can fill in a form and say whether you support it or whether you oppose the bill and give some comments on that. So part of our opportunity tonight is just to bring it up
Yeah,
to
so
the commission.
individuals
That it exists.
used to do that.
But it definitely weighs into conservation issues. And just not for this town, our role is also regional, we're not just the town. So we have to look a little bit beyond our borders on that.
So I think,
And by the way, the last thing is they very likely kind of seemed that the tenor of it was that it may go into become a study committee in the House and not actually. So but that doesn't mean it goes away, but that just means it gets pushed.
And you can volunteer for that too. So I don't think as commission, we're officially taking any action, but there's information on that sheet. If anybody as an individual wants to follow up or make a comment, that's all to all of us.
Can you forward that sheet to me, Tom?
Yeah, it's possible that it came into the general address. Yeah, but I'll get you might not have got, yeah, right.
I don't remember seeing anything.
If you have it, just, I'll bring it up tomorrow.
So that's all we have on the agenda. I want to come back real briefly to the resource waste services. And if there is interest in a committee or just people, it doesn't have to be a conservation commission thing. Tom's been doing a lot of this work. If there are other people who maybe want to work with him, get the word out more, there's interest in moving that way.
I mean, personally, I've been tempted to post something out there, and then I thought, as selectman, maybe I should just refrain from that, but as someone else in town could maybe broadcast that out, to just let others know about it. I don't know how you feel about that, but.
I don't even see an issue with you doing it, honestly. It's just awareness for everybody.
Yeah. And I
Do we have the ability to, I don't know who manages the town of Newfield's Facebook page. I think we talked about,
Private.
Well, there's
three
a-
of them or
no, but-
something.
but there's a town.
So McKinnon puts the input in. So if you want something to go into that, then it has to go by Sue.
I'm just wondering if there's more immediate, so we have the website where we post our agendas and meeting minutes and all of that, but more immediate informational communications. I'm just wondering if we leverage that via Sue, whether it's just, and again, keeping it factual. Here's something you ought to know about from the Newfields Conservation Commission, just information sharing. I feel like there's more people in town that consume information that way in a more immediate way versus they're going to go to the website. It's more reactive, long-term.
Yeah, so then what do we do with the people who email the Conservation Commission and say, what should I do?
Yeah, I don't think you can put out a general information thing unless there's something that we say there's a meeting, if you're interested in this, there's a meeting. If we'd have to give an action point that doesn't direct anybody towards a
Yeah, and there's
Point of view.
no further public hearings or anything.
Well, there's April, there's the
But
epic.
that's the decision, is that the,
On the state's environmental services page, it actually goes on to say, any written testimony, et cetera, submitted to NHDES. So, you can make people aware, but they're not reaching out to the committee, they're reaching out to New Hampshire DES with letters of concern, et cetera.
So that's what it should be. That should be the call. to
That could go out from the town and just.
be happy to type
Sure
something
you're
up for your
aware.
review, Allison, and then we could submit it to Sue.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I think for Sue to send it out, it probably needs select board approval. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my guess is they would be fine to do that.
Okay, so you want to forward something to me for tomorrow, I'll
Okay.
bring it up.
And then, I mean, if people are super excited and want to make a committee, that's great. I just want to make sure that we don't just alarm people and give them no place to.
Yeah.
Do it. Makes them anxious. Makes me anxious. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Anybody else?
The last thing is, ties in a little bit with some of our, something near and dear to us newer people, and that is, the onboarding documents. So what I've, put together, and this is heavily borrowed on, what Ellen showed me up in Newmarket. And what I would like to do, and here's a mock-up basically, is that the alternate will be first, remember, most likely next month. And that will be, they will get a little binder that has various pages like this in it. And what it's going to have, the table of contents, going to have a little short history and, summary of what the commission has done, contact information, including some outside agencies that we might deal with. Okay. A map in there, a little bit of maybe easement informational, Excel tables, easement, where it's at, that type of thing, acreage, that type of thing. And an example of a monitoring report. And maybe there's a document that I can get from them about how to monitor a conservation, and for us to be able to monitor the monitoring report, that how to review that. A little page on the budget, and then the bylaws, 36A, and some policy documents. So they get a little binder that would have various pages in it. And like I said, I've got some mock-ups in there.
Standpoint, can we do it electronically, not paper?
I think they should get a paper packet. I don't think a whole bunch more attachments will do it. I would like, that Newmarket has that, and they will go electronic after that, and everything gets emailed around. But I think that would be,
Huge, is it? I mean, it's not going to be huge. How many pages are we talking about?
oh, like this,
We'll just get rid of the plastic binders.
because they're, so Newmarket has most of theirs electronically. And so what do I have? I got this, like 14 PDFs of various names in there. It's like, what's that one? What's that one? What's that one? I think it's good to have a packet backed up. Or obviously it's all electronic, ultimately. But I think it would be good to have a packet. And then it could be brought in. And then when we want to look at 36A, here it is.
Thank you. So is there going to be a point at which that's sort of put together and we review it and brainstorm what needs to go in
I
it?
just am bringing it, this will be for a month from now. We'll get that. We don't need it right now. I just want to say that it's part of what's needed for the alternate,
I agree. I think it'll be super helpful for people.
which will not be too far off. So really April is when we need it. So just bringing it to like tonight.
Could just be one copy left in the office, and when you go in there and you're doing your swearing in and stuff, everybody has access to read it and go through it.
I'm sort of with them. I like
$10 worth.
paper. I write on it. I do things to it. But that too is changing. The town is growing. We're all going electronic.
Media.
I know. I just am
All right. Anything else we want to discuss? Nope. I will see you all in March.
Adjourn.
Move to adjourn at 8:51.
Okay.
All right. All in favor? Thank you all.